Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time and where you're watching from. In this video, I'll be teaching you or I'll be analyzing one of the salts from NECO examination 2025 practical chemistry. NECO gave two salts under salt analysis or what is called qualitative analysis this year. One of the salts is lead 2 trioxonitrate 5 and is labeled salt C. And the second salt is potassium trioxosulfate 4. That is potassium sulfite, not potassium sulfate. But in this video, let's start by analyzing the salt C. Salt C lab is PbNO3 2. Now, this is a predetermined test, which means these are tests that have been done and their results are determined even before the world of chemistry began. So it is possible that one can gain mastery on the mechanisms of identifying cations and anions using different reagents. Now, let's start with it. Now, in this salt, analyzing this salt, the cation present is Pb2 plus, that's lead 2 ion. We could also see NO3 minus, and the gas present is also the NO2 gas. Now, the first one is identification of the cation present, which is lead 2. Number 5, the first thing, you need to make a solution of the salts. That tests for solubility of the salts in water. Here is our tests. Let's say here our observation and inference. Here is our serial number, let's say AI. The salt label C plus, let's say 10 cm³ of distilled water. 10 cm³ of distilled water. And stirred thoroughly. Now, with our knowledge of practical chemistry, you could believe that all trioxonitrate 5 salts are soluble in water. Now, since lead is a trioxonitrate 5 salt, it means C dissolves in water. To form a colorless solution. Now, as a chemist, the logical deduction from this observation, which is called inference, would be that salt C is a soluble salt, or C is soluble in water. C is soluble in water. Now, it could also be expected to test with litmus, either red litmus and what? Blue litmus. Now, if you are to test with litmus, this solution C with litmus. Now, you know that lead 2 trioxonitrate 5 is a salt of strong acid, which is HNO3. All salts of strong acid would always what? Turn blue litmus red, meaning that what exhibits what? Acidic property. Now, this is a salt. It means solution C as a solution of what? Salt C plus litmus, which could both red and what? Blue litmus. If we see that solution C turns blue litmus red and has no action on red litmus. What does this mean? The inference could be that solution C is acidic. That's why it could turn blue litmus red. Now you could also be expected to test whether the reaction, the dissolution of salt C is endothermic or exothermic. Now you feel the wall of the test tube. If the test tube felt warm to touch, it means that dissolution of salt C in water is exothermic. But if the wall of the test tube felt cold to touch, it means dissolution of salt C in water is endothermic, meaning heat is what absorbed from the surrounding into the reactant system. Okay, now the instruction could also be divide solution C into 3 portions. Then to the first portion, it is AII. AIII. First portion of solution C plus one of the reagents used in identification of cations is sodium hydroxide solution, that is NaOH aqueous in drops first. Now under in drops, the time is a predetermined test. We have observed that calcium salt and lead salt always form white chalky precipitates. White chalky precipitates in both sodium hydroxide solution and aqueous ammonia. But zinc salt and ammonium salt would always form white gelatinous PPT. So there is no need bringing zinc. We know they have white PPT, but they are always gelatinous. Bringing zinc, bringing ammonium. So the two things in our mind is either calcium ion or lead ion. So in drops, the observation could be what? White, chalky. Some book would always use powdery precipitate, but I would advise my students to use chalky because you can't use the two at the same time. White, chalky, precipitate forms. And the inference here could be Ca2 plus or Pb2 plus present. Then in drops, then in excess. In excess of sodium hydroxide, you could also see that the white chalky precipitate, which was formed above, white chalky precipitate, soluble in excess sodium hydroxide. Now you see that between calcium ion and lead ion, lead 2 ion is what? Soluble in excess sodium hydroxide. We say Pb2 plus present. Then another reagent used in identification of cations is aqueous ammonia. Let's also test with aqueous ammonia. Let's say AIV. Second portion of solution C plus NH3 aqueous. You must put this aqueous, if not, you'll be judged of what is called TOS, test on solid, and corridors to deduction of your mind. Then in drops, and that in drops you could also observe white, chalky, precipitate, white, chalky, precipitate forms. And the inference will also be Ca2 plus or Pb2 plus present. Then in excess, you could observe that the white chalky precipitate, which was formed above, remain insoluble in excess aqueous ammonia, NH3 aqueous. And this confirms the presence of lead-2 ion, that's Pb2 plus confirmed. Yes, this is the first part of this salt analysis in NECO 2025. I believe you learned a lot, master it, and get yourself ready for your exam. Wait for the second part of the salt analysis. We'll finish off salt C analysis and also what talk about salt D analysis, which is K2SO3. Do you have a wonderful day?